Well, today is August 29th, and it's a good day because we're going to review more pro wrestling. So what we're going to review is from back on the 20th and the 21st of August with a two-night event by RevPro, their 10th anniversary, which is a huge event. We're going to see members of the United Empire making their presence known. However, Will Ospreay will put the RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship on the line, not once, but twice. We're also going to review the latest event by House of Glory High Intensity, where we feature Pro Wrestling Noah's Naomichi Marufuji taking on Eddie Kingston, which is going to be a banger. But also, we cannot forget we have AEW Dark Elevation. But I did call it last time. It turns out Hikaru Shida is putting the Pro Wrestling Wave, the Hina the Wave Championship on the line against her former mentor, Emi Sakura. And of course, we cannot forget what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling with some news updates. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Garrett here. So, let's begin with night one of RevPro with their 10th anniversary. This took place on the 20th. Now, our opening match was Connor Mills taking on the biggest a-hole in the wrestling business, coming from GCW. We're talking about Tony Deppen. Now, we know that everybody don't like the guy because he's a total dickhead. That's always been the case with him. However, he has to put himself to get through the shoes of this person named Connor Mills. Now, Connor Mills, I have seen what this guy can do. He's an unbelievable wrestler. But however, that's not the only thing that I'm concerned about. Connor Mills has a tag team match with his tag team partner from Destination Anywhere, Michael Oku. But that's later on. But the match himself, as you know, this was a very difficult task that he had to go through. As you know, Tony Deppen, he likes to piss people off. He likes to find ways to win. But unfortunately, Connor Mills was able to overcome all of that and able to pick up the victory with the pinfall, 1, 2, 3. So, as what the UK is probably, the British would say to Tony Deppen, bye, Wanka. So probably they wouldn't have to see him again if he doesn't cause any problems. Next match, this is a #1 contendership for the Southside Women's Championship. Now, some of you are saying, wait a minute, don't they RevPro have a women's championship? Yes, somehow they inherited this title from another promotion that has long been defunct, the Southside Wrestling. This one was something I know about. It's been a while. But we have Maya Matthews, who's being accompanied by Alex Windsor, who is her mentor, taking on a woman who's been making headways, Chantel Jordan. Now, whoever walks out of the winner will be going tonight to the take on Kanji, who is the current Southside Women's Champion. But I have to say, this match in particular looked more like, okay, Maya Matthews have improved from what people were saying. But however, Chantel really is far more better than her, and she picked up the victory with a pinfall. Next up, we got the RevPro Undisputed British Cruiserweight Championship. We have Francisco Cara of the United Empire taking on Luke Jacobs. Now, Francisco Cara, as you know, he is determined to prove he is the best junior heavyweight cruiserweight champion that the world has ever seen. But he has to dig in deep. He tries everything in his power to take out Luke Jacobs. Now, Luke Jacobs, he's a much bigger size than Akira, but we've seen that before with certain wrestlers, like, for example, Shigo Tagagi. We've seen that with Alex Zane. But Luke Jacobs, man, God, the dude is crazy. But he was able to apply the chokehold onto Francisco Akira. So that means the United Empire does not get this title one way or the other. Now, our next match is a strap match. Now, you know the rules. You're strapping with each other. You have to get all 4 corners in order to win. This is between 2 friends that known each other from the young line times. We're talking about Yota Tsuji and Shooter Shota Umino. Now, what I found out later is that Shota Umino was betrayed by Yota Tsuji. I thought they were really good friends, but for months, Gideon Grey, the leader of the villain faction known as Legion, was able to acquire him. He's been persuading him for months until he finally accepted him. And not only that, I don't know if Great-O-Khan had anything to do with it, because if you guys know this, Great-O-Khan, on the other hand, was a member of the Legion before moving back to Japan and forming the United Empire with Ospreay. But apparently this particular match, of course, they sent Lucian to take out Shota Umino, but Umino gave him a DDT right in the stage. And of course, he kicked Gideon Gray's ass to keep him out of the way. However, the one thing that led to another, Yoda did not see exactly what Umino did. He had him, but what he didn't realize, right behind him, he was actually hitting the corners, until finally, when you get to the last one, Umino was able to get the last corner and won the match. But at the same time, Gideon Grey, I don't know if he was brave or stupid in the post-match, he whacked Shooter with the strap on his back. He's like, and you can hear people in the back saying, "You fucked up." And it's true, he did do that. I don't know what he was thinking, but he got his ass whooped. But he did that by applying the Death Rider, or as we know it in AEW, the Paradigm Shift. Now our next match is tag team action. This is for the NJPW Strong Openweight Tag Team titles. They're currently being held by none other than Aussie Open, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis, taking on Destination Anywhere by Connor Mills and Michael Oka. Now, this particular match, keep in mind, I mentioned Connor Mills already had a match. Now, Michael Oku, he will not convince Mills to stay back, not to take this match, but he'll do it. But he's telling him, "Look, let me go first." So he goes, "No." So basically, Oka knows he's badly beat up already. He's already had a tough match, but he insisted on going first, regardless of his own health. I have to say, this was one of the most brutal matches that anybody has ever been in. I have to say, Connor Mills took a lot of beating, but he digged in deeper to withstand every blow that either Davis or Fletcher have tried. But however, their cohesiveness between Fletcher and Davis has been more impressive than it's always been, and proven why they are the best tag team in the world. But as you know, there are other tag teams that claim the same way as well. But they picked up the win with the Oli Oli and retained the titles. Now our main event is the RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship with Speedball Mike Bailey versus Will Ospreay. I thought this match was nuts too, because Will Ospreay had to dig deeper in order to win the match, and that's exactly what he did. He tried everything. The Hidden Blade, the Stonebreaker, every moment that he possibly can. Nobody has ever kicked out of the Stonebreaker, and that's what allowed him. But however, in post-match, Ricky Knight Jr., who wants a shot, he got beat up by all members of the United Empire, but he decided to antagonize, calling them that they're weak and they're nothing but wussies. And of course, Ospreay decided to finish him off, proving him that in night 2, this will be the last that he ever see him, because this will be Ricky Knight Jr.'s last chance for this title. So the obvious question is, will he be able to be 100% after this gruesome beating? Well, we'll find out, because that's going to be coming up next. Okay, night 2 of RevPro's 10th anniversary opened up with Destination Anywhere, Connor Mills and Michael Oku. Now, these guys are still a little beat up after an intensified match against Aussie Open. They face off against the Greedy Souls, a new tag team I never heard of. I know of Danny Jones and Brendan White on a singles competitor, but I did not realize they became a tag team. Now things were going smoothly, but out of the blue, Connor Mills turned his back on Michael Oku by kicking him in the face, tagging him in, leaving him there for the gutter. And of course, Michael Oku, he was nowhere near shape, and not to mention, Oku's girlfriend could not believe what transpired. Left him alone, just abandoned him. It did give the Greedy Souls the opportunity to win, even though they're a bunch of morons. They don't realize what just happened. So basically, Michael Oku leaves the ring a broken man. Now our next match, we have the Southside Women's Championship. We have the challenger from the night one, Chantel Jordan, taking on Kenji. Now, I don't know much about Kenji, but what I was a bit surprised, she seems like she has a bit of the technical aspect, a bit of the submission techniques. I think that's what makes it very unique about her. What I did not like, what I did enjoy about her. So, obvious question is, you got these two women who have really interesting backgrounds, but one thing that led to another is Kenji was able to apply a somewhat version of the triangle lancer onto Chantel in order for her to tap out and retain the Southside Women's Championship. Next match, this is for the RevPro Undisputed British Cruiserweight title. This is between, of course, the a-hole Tony Deppen versus Luke Jacobs. Now, I have to say this is one of those hard-hitting matches. Now, Tony Deppen, we all know his reputation. He's talented, but he's an a-hole. That's one thing. That's a few things we know about him. But Luke Jacobs, he seems like a heavyweight, but he knows how to fight as a cruiserweight. That's the thing that makes it a little unique. But the obvious thing is, how is this going to transition? Well, you know Deppen, how he is, how he exploits weakness. He likes to dismantle his victims, but none of that ever worked on Luke Jacobs. He kept going and going until he finally applied a chokehold on him, a sleeper chokehold on him. Good night, Deppen. It's over. Now, Gideon Grey, as you know, he was not a happy camper how things were in night one. He felt disrespected after being humiliated by none other than Shooter himself. All of a sudden, he got interrupted by a guy named Mad Kurt. Now, I don't know who this guy is. However, he brought in his old buddy to give a little annoyance to Gideon Grey, and that's someone I did not anticipate. Eddie Dennis. Now, if you guys remember, Eddie Dennis was part of the NXT UK. He played like a somewhat of a villain in NXT UK. However, he looks more like a party dude in RevPro on the Independent. I was like, this is rather interesting. That was my initial thought. But of course, he had to wrestle against that moron Gideon Grey. So I'm like, okay, it's kind of interesting. But however, it was Eddie Dennis that walked away as the winner. And of course, they have a little post-match party going around after the match. And here comes Shooter, who wanted in on it. Now, the only reason Shooter is in it because I think he likes Eddie Dennis, what he did to Gideon Grey. Next match, we have Leon Slater versus Mike Bailey. I have to say, what a great match. I think this was a really good one. I rather enjoy it. I did not know much about Leon Slater, but he did something like a swanton mix something. It was like, wow, that's incredible. I never seen anything like that. That's what I enjoy about this. However, Mike Bailey finished him off by using the flamenco driver. 1, 2, 3. Good night. Now, our next match is the RevPro Undisputed British Tag Team titles. We have the Velocities, Jude London and Paris D. Silva taking on Sunshine Machine, Chuck Mumbo and TK Cooper. Now, I've been hearing like from the commentators that those who believe that they are not worthy to become tag champions. I mean, look, we've seen tag champions who fought their way through to be the best what they're at, all of that. And I feel like Sunshine Machine had done that, but they have to prove themselves that they actually can pull it off. And I think it did show the Velocities. They look more like the underdogs in the story, but unfortunately with Sunshine Machine, they've proven why they should be at the top of the tag team division. And I think that tells it up, but it was this insane move I never seen Sunshine Machine use. It's so insane. It gave them the momentum in order to win the match. I was like, wow, I like this. Now our main event, we have the RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Championship. We got Ricky Knight Jr. taking on Will Ospreay. This is Ricky Knight's last chance for this title, or else he'll be gone of RevPro for good. Now Will Ospreay, he tried to tell him that he's not good enough. But I think the best moment, what I like about this match is Ricky did not give up, no matter what he tried. But once again, Will Ospreay was in a phase of desperation. He decided once again to pull the Rainmaker. Did not work. He tried the V-trigger. Then he tried to apply the One-Wing Angel, but it backfired him because Ricky Knight actually applied that on him. But he did not finish them off with that. He finished them off with his signature move. 1, 2, 3, brand new RevPro Undisputed British Heavyweight Champion. So that means Will Ospreay has been dethroned. And now Ricky Knight Jr. is the face of RevPro. Now, reason is because back then, I think about a year ago or so, Ricky Knight Jr. believed that Will Ospreay hasn't been in RevPro because he's been out. He's not putting that title on the line day in and day out, that sort of thing. So he felt that he is not a fighting champ because he's not there defending it. Now that he's been dethroned, Ricky Knight Jr. will be taking over in that position. So we'll see what happens then. So I think that's pretty much it with RevPro. I think I enjoyed both nights. But right now, I think it's time for House of Glory. Okay, House of Glory, high intensity. This is much recent event that took place with them. Opened up with a Matt Travis Memorial Battle Royal. Now, I did not see the start of this entire Battle Royale once I started watching it. Excuse me. Truth to be told, those who do know, actually, or those who don't know, and those who do know, I actually watch all of the wrestling events on watchprowrestling.org. That's pretty much what I've been doing with that. However, I did manage to see certain moments. I think we should skip to the end. We had Smiley, who was at one of the last two, along with Violet. Now, Smiley didn't seem like he's too compelled to hurt a woman, but Violet like saying, "Come on, you pussy, hit me." So I think it was more like, okay, Smiley may have to oblige to what she wants, so don't hold back. And I think that's a great moment because, we have seen in the past male wrestlers who are not too compelled to hurt or hit a woman during a wrestling match. And I think that tells it all. But Violet didn't care what he thought. Just get it over with. That's how it played out pretty well. But somehow Violet applied a clothesline and knocked Smiley out. Now, what is the significance of this battle royale? Well, whoever wins will get a title opportunity of their choosing. Now, Violet chose the House of Glory Women's Championship. So let's just hope that Natalia Markova is watching, because this is going to be her opponent that she'll be facing soon enough. Now, our next match, we have a three-way tag match. We have Roach Ruchi the Roach with Carlos La Sombra Ramirez taking on the House of Glory PD, Detective James Lander and Officer Joe Silver, and Cashflow Incorporated, Encore, and Ken Broadway. I have to say, this was a pretty good match because I did enjoy that. However, the House of Glory PD have been at war with Charles Mason, and now he has to deal with his little lackeys, Roach and Ramirez. But it was, of course, Ken Broadway's win onto Detective Jay's Lavender in order with the German suplex. 1, 2, 3, it was over. So it was pretty impressive. Now I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cashflow Incorporated on a hunt for tag team gold. That is something we can't expect. Now our next match, we were supposed to have Killer Cross here against Loki, but we all know where he is. He is back with WWE as Karrion Kross, so his suitable replacement was Bandito. I thought this match was unbelievably good. I loved it. It was great. It had no title or story, but it was a good match. However, it was Loki that walked out as the victor, and he gave a lot of respect to Bandito for really putting up a great match in this one. Our next match, we were supposed to have a one-on-one cruiserweight title match between Mantequilla and Casey Navarro. Now, the backstory between those, if you guys remember a while back, how Amazing Red had to relinquish the title, but he wanted to give it to Mantequilla. Now, Mantequilla felt that this is not the way I want to earn a title. I want to win it the right way. However, Casey Navarro thinks Mantequilla was stupid, that he wasn't blessed. He's like saying, just take the title, you dumbass. That's what you're supposed to do. But Mantequilla has these morals, these values that makes him say, no, I don't want to do this way. But Casey's like, you're an idiot. So he defended this title. However, he might have made a mistake that's going to bite him in the ass no matter what. Instead of becoming a one-on-one match, he turned it into a six-way, with just those two, along with Nolo Kitano, Grim Reaper, Buddy Matthews, and of course, Brian XL. Now, the entire night they've been talking, House of Black has made their presence known. Looks more like they're trying to take over House of Glory, that sort of thing. But, however, what I did like about this match is, of course, Buddy Matthews got disqualified and was kicked out. And, of course, Mantequilla, what I liked is Casey Navarro removed his mask, but Mantequilla went to the dark side, went to a different direction, decided to fight without the mask. And of course, you know, there's always that one commentator saying, you know, that he thinks that, oh, the good guy is an arrogant prick, and then when he saw that he's masked, like, he was like saying, oh, he's even uglier without the mask. I'm like, what did you expect? So he actually begged him to put on the mask. I'm like, well, that's what happens when Casey Navarro. Now, like I said, this is going to bite Casey Navarro in the ass. I'm sure he's going to probably regret adding this match into a six-way. Now, our next match, we were supposed to have the finals of the House of Glory heavyweight title between Jacob Fatu and Brody King. However, the match ended in double count out because they kept on fighting. The ref had a hard time trying to keep up with everything. Then out of nowhere, Malachi Black shows up, and then Amazing Red shows up. But Amazing Red tried to tell them, this is not the House of Black. This is the House of Glory. So basically, they ended up doing a tag match. The tag match ended with Buddy Matthews got in the way once again, and they tried to took out Jacob Fatu with the table, and then of course the 3-on-1 advantage. But luckily, we had, of course, Loki and Brian XL come out to save the day. But Loki had a peace of mind saying that they are the true kings of New York. All of them. So they want to challenge House of Black versus House of Glory. That's going to be a very, very interesting matchup. Now our next match is the Crown Jewel title between Joey Janela and that disgusting root of all evil, Charles Mason. Now, you probably would have assumed as a GCW fan, Joey has this because he'll bring out his tools, but no. Charles Mason always finds ways. He brought a garrote, but he got kicked out of it. All of that. Even the referee was knocked out. Ken Broadway even came out to give Joey Janela the helping hand because he hasn't forgotten what that scumbag Mason has done to him. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a title shot for the crown jewel. But the only thing he needs to do is take care of that big brute Ramirez out of the way. But unfortunately, the match ended with Charles Mason winning the match, retaining the title. But sooner or later, he will lose it. Now, our next match, we had an amazing tag match for the House of Glory tag team titles. We had Damn Boys, the Briscoes, taking on main event Jay Lyons and Midas Black. I have to say was, but however, Private Party integrated themselves into this match, turned into of course, a three-way. It was really amazing. But however, it was Damn Boys that walked out as the champions when Mark Briscoe applied the elbow drop on to one of them, I don't know which one, in order to them to keep to maintain the match. Now our main event, this is the most important one I wanted to see. Eddie Kingston versus Naomichi Marufuji from Pro Wrestling Noah. Now this is the first time from what people say that Marufuji has been on US soil for the last 15 years. I have to say, wow, what a great moment seeing him. I thought it was unbelievably good, but however, Kingston walked out as the victor when he applied the back fist, then landed on top of Marufuji. Now, if those who don't know, Kingston, he is a guy from who how do I say, follows the ways of King's Road. Now, Michi, he came from that King's Road before going to Pro Wrestling Noah. But yeah, I have to say, what an amazing match. I liked it. Even though it was short, I wish it could have been a longer, much epic match. So, I think that's pretty much it what we got with House of Glory. I think it's time for our final review, AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, AEW Dark Elevation. I have to say, some interesting matches, but I think the most important one to me was the main event. But let's talk about from the start all the way to the finish. Dante Martin took the ring. He took on Wes Barkley. Now, normally from watching and observing Dante Martin all the time, he always finishes opponents with, of course, the nosedive. However, he decided to go a different approach. Now, I'm not sure if he's learning some things with Matt Sydal. He applied like some sort of a kind of like a powerlift slam onto the person. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it was very interesting how he changed that. Maybe he's learning the ways of being both doing high flying work and ground work, which is something Matt Sydal has done. So I'm assuming he's taking lessons or so about that, but we'll see. Next up, we got the Ever So Darkness, Julia Hart versus Ari Alexander. Now, as you know, she is embraced the dark side, but she finished her off with a submission. So I don't get the whole story. You know how that ends. Next up, we got Queen Aminata and Sky Blue taking on the Problem, Marina Shafir and Nyla Rose. But of course, it was Nyla Rose that picked up the win with the Beast Bomb, giving her and Shafir the win. So we know they are a formidable group. I mean, if AEW had women's tag teams, you know for a fact those two would be pursuing for those. Next up, we got Matt Hardy versus RSP, or as we know him, Ricky Shane Page. Now, during the match, I did not anticipate this. We've been seeing this on Being the Elite, where Matt Hardy has been trying to make amends with Private Party and all this and that. Private Party just shows up. There was the moment in BT where he was from a long distance. They were like on top of the building right there, and moment is he's like, I'm going, I don't need to talk to you, and they shows up right in front of us like, I did not teach you teleportation. So basically, I thought it was funny. So is this like the beginning where we're saying, okay, maybe Private Party regrets siding with Andrade El Idolo? We don't know, but we'll see about that. But Matt Hardy, as you know, with the twist of fate, did finish off RSP, giving him a good win. But he was a rather bit confused that Private Party were there. So we'll see what happens. Next up, the Professor, Serena Deeb, taking on Kate Arquette. Now, you probably know how this ends with the Serenity Lock, which always ends that way. Next up, Frankie Kazarian, taking on Andrea Guerrich. I can't pronounce the last name right, but yeah. But you know how this one ends as well. It ends with the chicken wing. That always ends that way. Next up, we got a very interesting trios match. The Butcher, the Blade, and Roosh taking on Elijah, Chase Oliver, and Zach Nystrom. Now, I have to say, seeing the Butcher and the Blade with Roosh, they seem like a good combination because these guys are hardcore and all that. And I think that tells us, I mean, not hardcore wrestling, but more like they know what, they're very aggressive like him. And I think that tells us maybe Roosh would like to keep those guys and get rid of, you know, Private Party. That's what I would think he would do. But it was Roosh with, if you get the bulls, you mess with the bull, you get the horns. And I think that's how it ends. Now, our main event, this is a sanctioned match by Pro Wrestling Wave. We have the Regina D-Wave Championship on the line with challenger Emi Sakura versus her former protege Hikaru Shida. Now, some of you never seen this title. Now, this title is the top championship in Pro Wrestling Wave. Recently, they had a tournament where, of course, they applied this, who was going to win for this title. Unfortunately, the champion of that time had some problems with her left leg, or left knee, and she had to vacate. And they made the finals of the Catch Wave tournament into, okay, who's going to win the title. The person who won it was Suzuki of Prominence, but Hikaru Shida faced her, won that match. And I think I might have put the match on one of the descriptions from a previous. But however, you guys can still see it on YouTube. All you got to do is look for it, go to Pro Wrestling Wave and find it. You can see the whole 10 minutes of that match. But I have to say, it was very impressive. Not to mention what I did like, certain things I did not expect from Emi Sakura. She pulled off a moonsault. She never done that. But there was a clip on Twitter where she's been practicing in one of those trampoline parks with the foams on it. And I think that gave her a little bit of momentum to try it. But it was Hikaru Shida with the Falcon Arrow, then the Katana, in order to retain the title. So I thought, what a good main event for Dark Elevation. So hopefully we see things like that down the line, but we'll see about that. So let's move on with our last thing we're going to do. Is going to be news updates. Okay, now I mentioned Killer Kross previously. As you know, Killer Kross, where he is now, where he's been doing, apparently certain promotions had to change certain aspects of their cards. For example, one of them is Wrestling Revolver. He was supposed to be in a match against Crash Jackson, but it looks like it's not going to happen. Wrestling Revolver, or should I say Sami Callihan, who's the promoter, is going to figure something out, try to give him a good match. Now, I hate to say his name for all you guys. Patrick Clark, also known as Velveteen Dream, was arrested this past Friday. Now, he was arrested for a out-of-county warrant for possession of drug paraphernalias. I have to say, I'm kind of like a bit of surprised that that happened. Now, we know he hasn't been the same ever since the allegations on him. He tried to fight it, and I know Triple H had tried everything in his power to get him back on track, but looks more it's not going to happen. So he brought this mess to himself, as we could say. I know some of you may not like him, but yeah. And I know some of you probably be happy about it. Now, speaking of this, Santana Garrett, if you guys know who she was a recognized wrestler in the independents. She even appeared on WWE. Well, apparently she's back, but not as a wrestler, which kind of surprised me. She was wearing a WWE shirt, and she posted on her Twitter that says #PC, #coach. So I'm like, she took a coaching position in WWE. That is kind of like, to me, unusual, because I know there have been wrestlers who trying to put them as the coach, because I know WWE, their real goal is to introduce a young have a younger talent in the mix. And Santana Garrett, I don't think she fits that bill anymore. I mean, she would have been better off doing independence, but I'm not sure if she'll be, because I know she appeared in certain since she was released with WWE, she appeared in Shine, AEW. I'm not sure, but we'll see about that when they're gonna go. Now, our last update is coming from Mission Pro Wrestling. They announced, now those who know this, Mission Pro Wrestling is an all-females promotion, but what is unique about this is they do have a men's exhibition match. Basically, they have a men's match in this. However, I was surprised who was booked in this. Shota from DDT or Ganbare Pro has appeared. He is going to be in an exhibition match with JP Harlan. Now, if you guys wondering how in the world did Shota get a gig in this, well, he and Thunder Rosa are good friends. If you guys know this, whenever Thunder Rosa goes to Japan, Shota is her point person because he speaks very good English. I know that Shota has talked about many times that he is planning to come here to the States to wrestle. It's still unclear for how long, but seeing that he's going to be on the Mission Pro Wrestling events, that's going to be very interesting. So it's still unclear what matches he is going to be booked, but I'll be paying attention to that as soon as possible. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Well, coming up, since it is going to be Tuesday the following day, we are going to have Tuesday Wrestling, NWA Power, AEW Dark, NXT 2.0. Now, if there's anything I want to do before that, I will put that as soon as possible as well. But we'll go from there. So right now, I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.